We can just say hello to people as they come in. Like
Yeah.
Tara Jane is with us. Hello, Tara Jane.
Oh, that's nice.
David, which is nice.
Ah.
Hello, Eastus. Come just to make sure we don't say the wrong things. It's mostly ACEVO so far. It's Catherine.
Hi.
Afternoon, all.
Oh.
Madeline's joined us. Hi, Madeline. James. Hi, James. So we've got about 20 odd people booked on, so we'll just see who. Oh, look, there's Madeline and Tara saying hello.
Hi. I'm really resisting the urge to tell a joke, but I can't think of one. It's like a desire to entertain without any ability.
Well, you could do some improv.
Yeah.
We've seen your improv, it's better than that.
Yeah.
Afternoon to Claire and to Sarah. Hello. Oh, David wants you to tell a rude joke. Have you got anything? You were tempted there, though, weren't you? You were tempted.
No.
How are we doing?
I'll send it to you later, David, directly, just so that you get a.
Right. How are we getting on? Anne's joined us. Hello, Anne.
One sec.
Rose is off. Oh, Boris is talking. Okay. So yeah, we're going to have a 3-tier meeting here today.
Yeah.
Aren't we? You're going to be tier 1. Jill's the sandwich filling, and I'll be tier 3.
That means you're the high risk one, Vicky.
I'll say. I think we can all agree on that. David Hobday's joined us. Welcome, David. And Julie. Hi, Julie. Yeah, I don't think we realised that Boris was going to be doing one of his
This was at the
sessions
same time,
at the same
yeah.
time, but you never know when he's going to pop up, so we can't really
I'm
can't
sure
really
the BBC
arrange our
will
diaries.
conveniently summarise it for us.
Yeah. Right, how are we doing? I think one more minute and then we can start, Rosie, because all these good people have turned up on time. Deanne is with us. Hi, Deanne. Great hair. Oh, thanks, Julie. Julie likes my hair. Thank you. That's kind.
Sounds like how the board meeting started the other week.
Yes, I know. That was nice too, wasn't it? Okay. Everybody's coming. Jill Baker. Hi, Jill. Nice that you're with us. Right, I reckon we're good to go, Rosie. Yeah.
Let's do that. Hello, welcome everybody. I'm Rosie Ferguson. I'm chair of ACEVO, and I'm here with Jill Halford, our treasurer, and Vicky, our chief executive. Thank you all for joining us for ACEVO's annual update. So this is our chance to share our latest annual report and accounts with you, and your chance to ask any questions that you might have about our activities, our plans, or our governance. It's really nice that you've come along, because if not, we would be talking to ourselves on Zoom. So it's really great to have this level of engagement in what we're doing, and we're also really excited to take any questions from you, which you can submit via the chat, and we'll address those at the end. You don't need me to tell you what a tough time this has been for our sector, for all of us of chief execs. It's a kind of roller coaster at the moment. So I'm really pleased that ACEVO has been able to continue to support our members through this challenging period. This information we're sharing now really predates the pandemic because it's our previous annual report and accounts, but it will show how we were as well as kind of set up as possible as the crisis hit to continue to deliver for our members. So thankfully we were kind of in a position where we were able to kind of adapt our performance and support members as much as we could as we went into the crisis. And I know that many of you will have reaped benefits, seems like not quite the right word, but will have reaped the support and shoulders to cry on that many of that support offered. So here's the plan for now. Jill will talk us through our financial performance for 1920. Vicky will outline what we achieved last year and our plans and activities for this current year. I'd like to share a little bit about our plans for developing our new strategy, which are underway at the board at the moment, and then we'll answer any questions you have, which you can put into the chat, and we'll respond to those at the end, but feel free to kind of type in the questions at any point that you want to. Just to kick us off, I'd like to just remind us of ACEVO's vision, mission and values and why we're all here. So our vision is to see civil society leaders making the biggest possible difference. Together with our network, we inspire and support civil society leaders by providing connections, advocacy and skill. Our values are about being member driven, so involving members and including them in our thinking. That's what we're doing today, and being driven by their needs and their potential to achieve change. We're connected, so we aim to achieve more by bringing people together, building the relationships and networks that generate confidence and belief. And I know for a lot of people, the most valuable thing that they get from ACEVO is that opportunity to connect with people in a similar space to them. We're ambitious, so we're bold and confident, and we aim to be energetic and vibrant as much of the time as possible, as well as being kind of agile and entrepreneurial in trying to really support our members to face the challenges that are ahead in whatever guises they take as we're all along these various different journeys of our organisations. And we're honest, so we always aim to act with integrity and in the best interest of our members. We do what we say we will, and the accountability of today is part of making sure that you hold us to account on doing that. And we're open about our objectives and our impact. That's who we are, and who you are too, because you're very much part of us and our community. So now I'm going to hand over to Jill to talk us through the finances.
Thanks, Rosie. This is actually my last AGM or webinar to talk through this. And I've been involved with ACEVO for a number of years as the treasurer, so it's a pleasure to be here. And I will just take you through some highlights from the accounts. You will have seen that we've signed off the accounts, which is great, and those accounts for 1920 showed that our income for the year was up by 11% from the previous year, and we closed the year at 1.1 million of income. Costs were slightly lower than that at 1,091,000. So I'm sure that you've all worked out that meant that we created a small surplus of £14,000. Now the split between that was that we had an unrestricted surplus of £63,000, which was slightly higher than the prior year, and we were spending down our restricted funds. So we had a deficit on the restricted funds of just short of £50,000. So 70,000 last year, and we carry forward 21,000 to spend in this financial year that we're currently in. So our total group funds increased. They closed out at 348,000, which was up from last year. Also within the group, we have ACEVO Solutions, and that's our wholly owned subsidiary. And I'm sure many of you on the call will have a similar corporate structure. So we route all of our corporate sponsorship, affinity activity through that organisation, and that made a surplus of 66,000 at the end of the last financial year, and that will be paid up to ACEVO as a qualifying charitable donation by the end of December, which is our deadline. So if you're a March end, that's your deadline for getting that paid up. Don't miss that, because you will suffer a tax charge. Our reserves policy, obviously at the moment I'm having lots of discussions with my charity clients across the sector around what is the right level of reserves to hold. And at ACEVO we did an exercise as we were closing out the accounts looking at the impact of COVID and whether actually our reserves policy we needed to change. We decided after quite an extensive review that it didn't need to change, it was still appropriate, and our reserves policy remains at 3 to 5 months of forecast expenditure. So that we believe that that's still appropriate, but we will keep it under review because obviously, as you know, things are changing quite dramatically. So that equated to 276 to 460 of free reserves. And as we close out the year, we close out at 327. So you can see we're well within that range, which is good. Now, I think the risks that we're currently facing with COVID are an example of why we hold those free reserves. And the trustees are aware as part of those discussions and our financial forecasts that we may need to use some of those reserves as we go through the next period. That really just depends on the level of uncertainty that we face. Now, I know a lot of charities and corporates are also facing that uncertainty as well, and many are struggling to demonstrate cash flow certainty and whether they're a going concern. But I'm pleased to report that when we had those discussions as a board, we were happy and satisfied that ACEVO could prepare the accounts on a going concern basis. And that's how we did prepare them, and our auditors concurred with that, so gave us a clean opinion as well. Now, of course, we've done a lot of financial modelling and planning, looking at the effects and the potential effects of COVID, and we do believe that ACEVO is a financially viable organisation going forward. So I think as we started this financial year that we're currently in, I think, you know, the most significant areas that will be affected are the net assets, of course, of the charity. We are expecting corporate income to be susceptible and possibly fall, and also new member recruitment. I think Vicky will come on to talk about that. As we started 2020, we did an IT upgrade, which was very well timed, because it meant that we were very quick to be able to go remotely. So we moved a lot of our services online, as I'm sure you will know, and also a lot of our income generating events moved online over the summer as well. So that's put us in a really good position having that upgrade. Of course, as I mentioned, we do have you know, some uncertainty around especially some of the corporate income. But really pleased to see that a lot of our loyal corporate supporters have already agreed support for us at the same levels as they supported us previously. So that's great. And recently we've been confirmed that we have an unrestricted grant of £200,000 over the next 5 years from Paul Hamm Foundation. So we're very, very grateful for that. Of course, we've been looking at our cost base and trying to cut our costs and reduce our costs as much as we can. And we will continue to do that over the next period as well, and probably beyond. But we do feel that we've got a strong balance sheet. The free reserves I mentioned earlier of 327, and we've got a very strong cash position as well, which is great. So we do feel that we've got the availability of funds, and also importantly the liquidity of those unrestricted reserves to meet the liabilities as they fall due over the next period. I mean, we couldn't have anticipated all of the challenges that COVID's thrown at us, but I think we are in really good shape to weather the storm and to keep continuing supporting our members, which is really, really important to us. So as a trustee board, we approved the accounts on the 1st of October, and the auditors signed off the following day on the 2nd. That's all I want to cover. Thank you.
Thanks, Jill. And oh, I'm very echoey. All right. Okay. So yeah, I'd forgotten, of course, that is your last session with us, and we're going to have lots of time to say thank you, but perhaps we should just formally make this the first time that we say thank you to Jill for 7 years now of amazing service. And Jill's been a fantastic treasurer and a fantastic trustee. And so I'm just going to go on about this a lot until you leave in December, but this is the first time we get to say thank you so much. thing you've done. So I'm going to just run through a little bit of the kind of highlights of the report last year. And if you haven't read it, then this is a spoiler alert. It's a right riveting read, and I hope that you do get a chance to have a look at it. But otherwise, these are some of the highlights. We were delighted that membership grew over the year by 21% to 1,443 members. So we're really pleased because obviously, as our network is our USP, and having all those 1,400, nearly 1,500 members as part of our community is absolutely fantastic. And we maintained a retention rate for membership of 81%, which we are pleased with, because obviously that is an indicator that people are happy with what we are providing for them. And some of the things we provided for them, last year we did 54 events, which attracted nearly 1,500 delegates. We felt that was quite a lot last year, but I'd say we'd probably double it and possibly even more this year now. Everything's gone online. We're doing more events than ever. And you'll see on your screen, as well as the pictures of me, Jill and Rosie, the person hiding is Nabila Juma, who's our events coordinator, and she's been fantastic in putting on all of these events and making sure everything goes online. So although you can't see her face, she's there, and she's done a great job. So last year we did 54 events. This year we're going to do a lot more. Rosie mentioned, it's been a tough old time, but we have been able to be there to support our members, and we helped 178 members access one-to-one guidance through our governance and member advice service. And then a further, unfortunately, 65 members accessed our CEO in crisis service when things went quite badly wrong. So it was brilliant that we were able to be there for them. It is difficult when your membership grows to make sure that we have the level of resource that we need to service that membership, particularly in things like our member support, which is a very resource intensive offer. So it was really comforting and really helpful that Garfield Weston actually came forward with some funding for us last year, particularly to support our CEO in crisis service, and that enabled us to double the capacity within that service, and which was perfect timing for being able to support people as things got tougher and tougher. We were delighted that our communications has been really positively growing. So Twitter followers went up by 11% last year, and our website followers or website users rose by nearly 30%. So we are being able to spread our message and engage with more and more people. We also launched a podcast last year, which is our Leadership Worth Sharing podcast. That's now had over 6,000 listens. It's mostly me chatting to brilliant leaders, but of course the one that was the most popular and has got the most listens is the one I wasn't involved in at all, and my colleague Christiana Rixon did. So that was on our Home Truths report, so that was fantastic. One of our key objectives is to make sure that our members get support from each other. We think that peer-to-peer support is really important, and this year we matched a whopping 72 members with mentors. We did some work last year on assessing the effectiveness of our mentoring scheme, and we found that while we were making, in previous years, while we were making high numbers of matches, they weren't always sticking. So this year, with the extra resource that we've been able to put into member support, we've added some new layers of communication and contact within our mentoring service, and each mentor and mentee now gets a personal phone call. And although that does increase the level of capacity that we need, actually it is proving really effective to make those relationships stickier and more effective. So that's been really positive. We launched we've been doing a few hard-hitting reports over the last couple of years, and last year we launched our In Plain Sight report on bullying in the charity sector, and this year we've launched our Home Truths report on race equity. And it's interesting because we know that we feel we have a role as ACEVO in kind of enabling or encouraging our sector to be as to do as well as it can in the way it delivers the missions that we're all here for. And sometimes that can be quite challenging for members. And we are, as part of the strategy development for our next 3-year strategy, we will be looking at that level of challenge versus support and making sure we have that balance right. Because I think it is important that we challenge leaders to be as good as they can be, but we want to make sure we do that within the context of supporting them as well. We're really grateful that we've had 45 corporate members, corporate suppliers and partners rather, supporting us. They provide lots of really useful information and support for our members, as well as financial support for ACEVO, and we literally couldn't do what we do without them. But we also had some fantastic core funders. So Barrett Cadbury, Garfield Weston, Lloyds Bank Foundation and Pears Foundation all provided core funding for us last year, which is incredibly helpful to an organisation, to any organisation, so that we could use the money where we felt it was most appropriate, which is in supporting our members. We also have project funding from DCMS, from the Leadership Trust Foundation and from the National Lottery Community Foundation. So we're very grateful to all of those funders for being with us. Despite what we think is a reasonably robust risk assessment process, we didn't spot a global pandemic on the cards. So we have been very alert to the fact that we need to be nimble, agile. We need to be able to turn on sixpence as needed. And I really feel that the team has been absolutely fantastic in, and as I'm sure most of your charity teams have, in responding to the crisis that we've had, and making sure all of our stuff goes online and making sure that we are able to function fully and engage with members. So I'm really, really proud of the team and really grateful to them for all their hard work on that. So that was a real kind of skip and a jump through last year. And again, there's lots more of that in the report itself. So please do have a look at that. So I'll just quickly touch on some of the stuff that we've been doing this year and that we've got planned coming up. So in our business plan last year, we said that in December 2020, we would launch a community hub for members where they could get together and share their challenges and support each other. Well, we got that out in I think the third week of April. So that was an incredible achievement by the team to turn that around quite so quickly and early. And we're really delighted with the ACEVO community, how that's grown. We hit 500 regular members of the community last week, which is fantastic. I mentioned we launched the Home Truths report this year on race equity, and we've also been trying to live up to our own recommendations. We published our pay and gender and ethnicity pay gaps this year, which are not particularly impressive. So we know that we've still got a lot of work to do to improve equity within the organisation. And we are looking at making sure that we are increasing diversity of our board and our staff team, and trying to make sure we walk the walk as well as talk the talk. We launched a new leadership development program, which we knew that ACEVO is quite good at, always been good at supporting new chief execs when they first come into role. We're a fantastic resource for that. But we thought we perhaps weren't doing enough for more experienced leaders. So we've developed a whole new leadership program funded by the Leadership Trust Foundation. And we are launching that in January with our first cohort. So we're very excited with that. And of course, we've really increased membership engagement with our online offer. So having people not having to travel to get to meetings, although I think all of us miss being face to face. And weirdly, Rosie and Jill and I are all in the same building, but in different rooms. And it just feels really weird not to be able actually to be sitting together. And I think it's, I know a lot of people feel that being face to face, we will welcome that as soon as we're able to. But being able to have our meetings online has meant that we've increased engagement and made things more accessible for people who haven't had to take travel time or travel expenses to come to our meetings. So we're going to, again, as part of the development for next year, make sure that we keep a really good balance of online and, when possible, offline. So that's a real kind of romp through some of the stuff. Rosie, back to you, just to have a talk about the strategy development, and then I think we've got a few questions.
We have. Thanks, Vicky and Jill, for all that. And yeah, thanks for Madeline's just put a comment in the chat about how invaluable the community hub has been through the pandemic, and I've certainly benefited from that in my day job as well. I know it couldn't have been better timed in terms of creating a way for people to access that peer support on kind of quite specific things at quite critical moments. So yeah, so thanks, Madeline, for that. So thinking about the future, which isn't the easiest thing to do right now, but nonetheless, it's important that we all still continue to look ahead. One of the key tasks for us as a charity board is to develop and set the strategic direction for the organisation going forward. Our current 3-year strategy runs in April, but given the COVID context, it kind of interrupted our schedule, and we decided to put back the launch of our new strategy for 2022 so that we can take time over 2021 to really work out what the right strategy is. That's partly because of time, but it's also because I think none of us really have certainty about what the world is going to look like, and we want to make sure that we can really ensure that our new strategy is informed by what leaders are going to need in the kind of in the times ahead, and we want to make sure we get people's input in that at a time when hopefully people aren't quite so occupied as they are currently. So personally, I love a good strategy, and I'm really excited about this one. I think we're going to be engaging with members, trustees, staff, funders and partners in a whole range of strategic questions that we think are relevant for ACEVO, but are also relevant for the sector and for us all as leaders, and we're keen to get as much input in those as possible. Some of the strategic questions that we want to answer are confirming the kind of scope and extent of our public affairs activity. I think historically ACEVO has done a lot of public affairs work. We've done less in recent years, but understanding exactly what our role is within that and how we work with the other infrastructure bodies and sector bodies to make sure we get the resources as balanced and efficient as possible, and what should we be doing, what's our distinctive contribution. Further articulating our strategic vision for a more equitable organisation and sector in terms of both race and power. That's really important for us in terms of how much do we drive leaders to do what they have to, how do we support people with their day-to-day versus drive them to kind of moving forward equity in a sector where we know that really matters. A question around exploring the shape of the sector's post-pandemic infrastructure ecosystem. What does that look like for partners? How do we make sure that as the kind of infrastructure bodies we're as effective and efficient collaboratively as we can be? Refining our role in how we help to develop our sector's leaders. So how much is the role for ACEVO in terms of actual leadership and skills development versus more of the kind of peer support work that we do most of at the moment? So they're a really exciting set of questions that we really want to take time and answer, and answer in context in terms of what are other people doing. We don't want to do things for the sake of it, that we know other people can do better, but we do want to make sure that we're filling the gap in what leaders need, where there is a gap and where we know that we can add something distinctive. So that's quite a lot to answer. We're really excited about those conversations. What is not up for grabs in our strategy is ACEVO's commitment to focusing on members. Members will absolutely at the heart of what we do, and our core role will continue to be to connect and support our sector CEOs, and to understand the kind of fantastic leaders that we have within our network, and making sure that you all feel that ACEVO is delivering and supporting you in the ways that you need it. As I said in my opening remarks, we all know too well what a tough time this has been for social sector CEOs, both as the kind of need among those we serve, and the challenges facing our organisations have both hit kind of crisis simultaneously for a lot of us, and we're really glad that ACEVO has been able to support and connect so many of you in this time in terms of being able to provide that extra bit of support. I just want to say a huge thanks to Vicky and all of the staff team, as well as the trustees, for all of the work they do to make sure that ACEVO is what it is, and that we're able to really continue to achieve what we achieve. We do have a few questions in the chat. So the first one in the Q&A, Vicky, I think this is probably one for you, from Madeline. Are you expecting a change in members, and if so, in what way? Has there been an increase as CEOs need more support, or has we seen a decrease because charities may see this as a luxury that they can't afford? and what trends are we seeing, so kind of on the current numbers, and what's the strategy to evidence impact?
Yeah, thanks, Madeline. So when this all kicked off, I think we were expecting a drop in membership. We were expecting people to cut back, and we know that when budgets are tight, this is, memberships and subscriptions, that sort of thing, are often the first thing to go. But actually we haven't seen that, and we've been really pleased with that. So our retention rate year to date is actually 85%. So our retention rate's gone up on last year, and again, we budgeted, I think, to have a lower number of new members joining, but we're not seeing that either. So at the moment, what we're hoping is that indicates that we are providing a service that members feel they need to be able to afford to be able to get through this. We are, however, we're not complacent about that. We need to be really sure that we are delivering for members, because it is sometimes we know that when people do drop out, sometimes that however much they value the membership, they simply haven't got the money for it. So we would be foolish not to expect that to be an issue in the months ahead, but we are just focusing on delivering for members to ensure that that people, when they're in membership, actually get really good value. On the evidence, on the impact side of things, actually we've been doing quite a big piece of work on our impact measurement. It's been again, it was something we had planned to have finished by now, but because of COVID, it's slightly taken a back burner. But in fact, we've got a meeting on it tomorrow, I think. We're looking at our theory of change and working out what the measurements for demonstrating our impact is, and that's something you're going to be able to see hopefully within the next few months as we roll that out. But for me, our impact, the evidence of our impact, is often best shown by our retention rate, and a retention rate of 85% at this time, I think, is I'm really pleased with. So we just want to make sure we keep that going.
Thanks, Vicky. And thanks to Sarah Astley for your comment on there. It's glad to hear that ACEVO has kept you going in some of the dark times. Vicky, another question for you, a great one from James, about on page 21, where we talk about the targets for staff and trustees, specifically whether there's anything members can do to help us address the disability gap, which is an area where we know we're not doing as well as we want to.
Thank you. Yeah, so we've actually, I know we did a big piece of work last year on the race equity, but we didn't want that to be the sole focus of our equity work. So we have commissioned a consultant to do some work with us on looking at how we can make sure that ACEVO is more accessible to people with disabilities. So we're working with a consultant called Zara Todd. She's done the first part of her report to us, and we're waiting, I think next month we're going to get the second part, and as part of that she's interviewed some members who with disabilities and some chief execs in our sector with disabilities who are not members of ACEVO, so that we can work out how we can improve and what else we need to do. So I think in terms of how members can engage with that, just keep telling us if we're doing things that aren't accessible, so as it were, keep holding us to account, and we will, and as we do things like that, I think, James, I don't know, I think you may have had that conversation with Zara as part of the review, so if so, thank you very much. But yeah, as we roll that out, we will be engaging with members to make sure that what we are offering is as inclusive as possible. So yeah, do keep engaging with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. I can't see any other questions in the Q&A or in the chat, but Nabila will tell me if I'm I'm missing something or being incompetent with the technology. I'll kind of leave it for a few seconds in case anyone has anything else they want to post.
I'm not seeing anything else either, actually. There's one new message.
Great, not missing anything.
No.
Thank you, that's reassuring. So it really just leaves me to say a big thank you to you all for coming and for continuing to be engaged in ACEVO's work. thank you very much for joining us. You can, as ever, find full contact details for the ACEVO team on our website. So if you have any other questions or suggestions on how we can improve our service to members and deliver our mission more, we would always love to hear from you. Likewise, if you after this think of something that you didn't get the chance to ask, do just drop us a line, and we're keen to answer it. As a membership organisation, ACEVO is only the sum of our parts in terms of our members. So thank you all for engaging and for continuing to do the jobs that you do. It's you that make the impact, and we're here just to kind of enable you to do that in the best way that we can. So congratulations to all of you for whatever it is that you're facing right now, and thank you very much for taking time out to be with us.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
And we've given everybody 5 minutes of their life, but 10 minutes of their life.